everybody. Welcome to Embracing Wisdom with Stacy, season 2. Now, I started this podcast last year and then life showed up towards the end of the year and I really didn't get any new episodes done since I think November, which is not a big deal. People get busy, right, in the holidays and things like that. Throw in a hip surgery, all good. So I want to jump into season 2, sort of catching everybody up with not just what's been going on in my world, but then how do we go forward in a world where there feels like maybe for some of us there's some uncertainty, there's just a lot going on. I know for me personally, I feel that uncertainty with my hip surgeries. And if you follow along the hip surgery playlist, you know that it's been a long, at least 13 years and 6 surgeries of my left hip. And it's still not good. But through the process, I've learned so much. And I think that it's really important to look at our experiences as human beings and not just hone in on the great things that happen in our life and think, wow, I learned so much from this great thing, but really be able to look at all of our experiences and see if we're willing to see if there's anything within the hard parts of our life that maybe we can grow, maybe we can do different, maybe we can learn. And the biggest takeaway for me through this hip surgery, and I talk a lot about this on the hip replacement recovery sort of playlist that I have on YouTube, is we need to do better as human beings at listening. We need to do better at, instead of wanting to solve a problem for somebody or becoming the expert on something, to simply sit with and companion with other people's pain as well as other people's celebrations. And I think for me, that was the biggest thing that I learned through this process is not only does everybody have an opinion about my hip and my surgeon that they don't know, they want to have a solution that is not useful, or they dismiss it with, you'll be fine, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. Tomorrow will be better, tomorrow will be better. And rather than just simply being able to sit with somebody's pain or sit with somebody's uncomfortableness and say, can you tell me more? How does that feel? Do you have fear? What are you thinking? We have to do better because I think once we were able to, this is my soapbox and then we'll get back to the topics. Once we were able to put a review on a website about something as meaningless as toothpaste, everybody in the world became an expert. And now we can't buy toothpaste without looking at reviews, most of us. And how sad is that, that we have to rely on other people's opinions to make a decision on something as silly as toothpaste or a big decision? We've lost our cognitive ability to think for ourselves and then act for ourselves. So I learned a lot through last year and just where I need to deflect people's opinions, where I need to take space from certain people's opinions, and where I need to dig really deep within myself because I know what I know in my body, and I know my doctor, and I trust my doctor. I feel fully supported by my medical team, and it's not a place to put blame on anybody. It's not a place to point fingers at anybody. That's what's wrong with this world, is that we are constantly pointing fingers at one another, and we're not willing to listen and just learn and just hear somebody. We've lost that ability because we're all experts on toothpaste. That's my that's my soapbox for the day. Okay, let's go through the topics. Season 2, I'm thinking about a lot of different things for my podcast. And one of the things that as I looked back through season 1 and I got all of my podcasts uploaded to all of the major podcast platforms in the last few weeks, the thing that came up a lot is that people really are curious about handling, raising, navigating, advocating, loving a person with a disability in your life. And that was a popular podcast. So I want to dive a little deeper on not just the emotional gifts that raising somebody with a disability brings, but the isolation that it brings, the loneliness that it brings, the having to find your own tribe. Because if you're not in it, you don't get it. And that's okay. Not everybody's going to get it. So we need to find people that do get it and put those people in our corner. So I want to talk a little bit more about disabilities and how there's a lot of grief, there's a lot of joy, there's a lot of humbling, there's a lot of lessons. And then what do we do with all of that? If you know me, I'm all about what do we do with it, because we're all handed certain situations, failed marriages, health concerns, financial troubles, kids with disabilities, divorces, we're all handed something that's hard. And ultimately, it's what do we do with it that is where the the juice is, where the goodness is. And so I want to talk about that more. Of course, I'm always going to be hammering the idea of mindset, because I think mindset is so important when we're dealing with uncertainty, when we're dealing with hard things, when we're feeling like there's no hope in the world. We have to have mindset. And I think about mindset this way. For many, many, many years, we are conditioned to believe a certain thing. And that inside our brain is like driving a dirt road over and over and over and over to the same destination that usually leads to unworthiness, anger, resentment, bitterness. And the more we have those thoughts, the more we dig that truck or that car into the dirt roads, and the roads get deeper and deeper and the sides become taller and taller, and we get to the same destination over and over. But we have the power to turn the car around in our brain and find a different road that leads to a better destination. And that is what mindset is all about. Stopping the thoughts of unworthiness, bitterness, anger, resentment, turning the thoughts around to possibilities, to hope, to empowerment, to optimism, turning it. And now, pretty soon, when we constantly are steering the car down the different path in our brain, the path that leads to better, the sides start to get a little higher. We start to dig that road a little deeper. And pretty soon, that road over there that led to bleh, to crappy feeling is no longer part of our path. We are no longer, it's not even on our map, because we've learned how to drive our car to a different destination. And that is what mindset's all about. So I will talk about mindset a lot this coming year. This year, I've chosen the word renewal for myself. I'm a big believer in intentions. I'm a huge believer in choosing a word for your year. I talked about that a lot, season one. My word for this year is renewal, which means I'm not trying to become who I was before my hip stuff and life shows up in many, many ways, not just my hip. I want to renew how I face things. How do I face business now that my body, which I teach yoga full time, now that my body is not cooperating? Of course, if I'm talking, I can teach, and I can talk, so I can teach. So it's not so much that I won't be teaching, but it's the commuting, it's the driving, it's the hands-on physical work that I do with people with disabilities, people that are paralyzed. It's a lot of physical demand on my body. And so, how can I find a newness to what I do? Does it mean I'll do more public speaking? I hope so. I want to teach other people how to do what I do. So, I have to find a new way to reach people. All last year, I tried to find people who are yoga teachers, occupational therapists, speech therapists, CNAs, nurses, whoever is interested in reaching people in assisted living and how to mentor them in the method that I have crafted for 17 years. But the way that I offer that, it didn't work. I didn't find anybody but one person who's not able to do it because she needs to have a job, which I get. So, how can I find a new way to reach out to people who want to serve, who aren't looking for fame and money and to be the best? They simply want to serve. So, I'm putting it out there in a new way, in a renewing way, These are the people I want to attract into my life. These are the people that I want to mentor and train who want to serve, not be an adaptive yoga teacher, but to serve. So I want to take my business that direction. I have a huge, fantastic project that I haven't told very many people about that I'm going to reveal in the springtime. It's a totally different direction of my business, totally unrelated to yoga, but it's pure joy. It's pure joy. And last year, I was all about finding joy every single day, despite the heartache, the pain, the disappointment, the frustration. I set out every single day to find joy. And now I want to amplify the joy factor in my life with a whole different direction for my business. So, super excited about that. I'll share more with you in the coming months as I get all the pieces to the puzzle put in place. So renewal to me means how am I going to exercise and work out and do the things that I love to do outdoors with my hip? I got to find new ways. Maybe it's a recumbent bike. I don't know. I won't be roller skating. So that's off the books. But I need to find new ways for self-care. I need to find new ways that my body is cared for in the next year or so, because it's going to take a long time to recover, if at all, from my hip surgery. So, renewal is my word, and it means to become a new version of me. Not that I'm not good, because I'm totally good, but just polish it up, find a different direction, go a different way, look for the new opportunities in my life. And I'm so excited about it. So, I'll share more about all of that in the coming months. I want to talk about self-care in a deeper way. What does it mean? It's far beyond chocolates and bubble baths, far beyond that. So I want to talk about that, like emotional self-care, spiritual self-care. I want to talk about that. I want to dive back into some of the tools that I use in my daily practices that help me stay hopeful and optimistic and grounded and centered and able to face really hard things, both personally and collectively, with grace. And I'll share those tools in some upcoming episodes on the podcast. And of course, my cat Leo will make his presence as he always does. He's actually asleep in the chair behind me. And I'm in my office, not my studio today, because my studio is freezing and there's a lot of stairs between here and there. And I'm just not navigating my house well because of my surgery. So, that's what I have for you coming up in season 2, and I'm super excited. What I've done with all my season 1 episodes is I'm putting them up on a daily basis. A new episode is dropping on all the major podcast platforms, so you can find me on Apple or Spotify, or you can just hang out here and see the video version, which is cool too. So I'm going to pop up season 2, episode 1 over there, even though I'm still popping up episode 1, but you'll get it. And then we'll catch up in February, just a couple weeks. We'll start brand new with season 2. A lot to talk about, a lot to talk about. So have a great day, and thanks for hanging out with me for the last year or so. The comments and the support and the emails have been absolutely life-changing for me going through the hard stuff. And I could not have stayed hopeful without the support of so many people, strangers and friends and family, who really stepped up and reminded me that despite all the reviews and all of the opinions out there, there are really good, genuine, loving people that want the best. So I want the best for you, and I hope that you'll tag along with me as we continue on this beautiful journey. And I will see you soon, talk to you soon, listen to you soon, and be well and be yourself. You're worth it. See ya.